Welcome to Fresh Start. I'm Mary Beth, and today we are going to do some Indian food, or what I consider Indian cuisine. It is a corn chowder. So if you've never had chowder before, it's usually really creamy. Let me turn this down a little bit. It's very, very creamy. So it's usually made with just dairy milk. So I'm going to change it up just a little bit and use coconut milk. So anyone who has problems with lactose intolerant, this is something that would be good for you. So we're going to start with some vegetable broth. Now I'm not using a beef or a chicken broth, only vegetable broth. And you can make your own broth if you want. And you just boil some celery, some carrots, some potatoes, and a little bit of onion. And then just take that broth and pour it into, if you want to put it in a mason jar, you can do that and store it so you can always have it. Or you can be like me and cheat today and just get you some vegetable broth from our local grocery. So just make sure it does say vegetable broth. All right, so I've already got 1 carton of vegetable broth boiling. So you're going to need for this recipe half an onion. I'm going to go ahead and get everything out so you can see it. Also 1 red bell pepper, about 3 to 4 medium-sized carrots, and about 6 to 8 red potatoes, and also about 4 stalks of celery. Some people don't like celery, and if you don't, just cut it back to 2 or 3 stalks of celery. But celery is so good for you, so this recipe is so good you really won't taste the celery in it. So go ahead and do 4, and I promise you won't be sorry. You're also going to need frozen corn, and this is just a small bag, like a 12-ounce bag that I got at our local store. And then I also bought some fresh Silver Queen corn that I'm going to do on the top of the chowder at our local farmer's market. And also just some green onions for the topping. And coconut milk. So coconut milk you can get, it's not the refrigerated kind. It's the kind that comes in a can, which is in the international aisle of the grocery store. So you want to get the full fat. Do not get low fat or fat free. Do not get that. So there's usually hidden chemicals in that. So you just want to get the full fat because it's a good fat, not a bad fat. All right, so we've got our broth going. I'm going to add a little bit more to it now that it's boiling really well. So it averages about 6 cups of vegetable broth. Get that going. So I'm going to cut this onion. And onions, I know I talk about onions a lot being so good for like cancer patients because I talked about them burning the eyes. So that's actually a chemical that helps our bodies fight disease. So if you are struggling with any type of chronic illness like cancer, diabetes, or heart problems or high blood pressure, this is something that those diseases hate because it's mainly caused from inflammation, and onions actually is an anti-inflammatory. So onions are so good for you. So you're just going to chop this pretty fine. Be really careful. Now I usually like to use a sweet onion for this. You can use a Vidalia onion if you prefer, or just a white onion. But my favorite is a sweet onion. We make this also at Juicy's, so this is something that we sell a lot of. So you're getting the recipe. So hope you're writing this down. But if you don't, you just come on Mondays. We always have it every Monday. It's excellent with our cornbread. All right, I'm going to throw these onions in. I used to never like onions, but I've grown to just love them. I can eat them just by themselves. My husband actually eats them on a sandwich just by themselves. It's actually pretty good. All right, get to going really well. The next thing we're going to do is carrots. So you want to make sure you have about a medium-sized carrot. So it's usually 3 to 4 carrots. I'm going to go ahead and cut these. You hear me talk about carrots all the time also, where they're full of beta carotene. If you even look at them, it actually looks like the pupil of an eye. So you know they're good for vision. They're good for your skin. They also help your kidneys and your liver. I need to sharpen my knife a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put these over into my mixture. It's already smelling good over here, and it's just broth and onions. I'll go a little fast on this. And if you want to be fancy with a knife, I don't know if you can see how I'm doing this, but you take the tip of your knife and you make sure you keep it down, hold your fingers back, kind of like a claw, and you never take that tip off the edge of your cutting board. And then you start out slow, and then eventually you build up speed. Put these in the mixture. Okay, next we're going to cut a red bell pepper. Let's see here. All right, so we're just going to cut this in just medium-sized pieces, nothing huge or small. So it's just a regular cut, or a rough cut as we call it. I always love the way peppers smell, especially when they're cooking. So this one is smelling really good right now. Put these in. So we'll go ahead and cut some potatoes. So I use usually a red potato. This is called a size B potato. So if you've got a potato that's really big, I prefer these for cooking, especially in a soup. So get the smaller, and there are choices. So if you go to the grocery store, you will see different sizes. So always go for just the small to the medium-sized potato for stews. All right, so we're going to cut these, and you're going to cut these in bite sizes. So anything like this right here is really a perfect size. I love potatoes. So my favorite is sweet potato. So while I'm cutting these, I'll tell you how much I love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are just good without anything on them at all. So if you've never tried it without the butter and the cinnamon and all that, just try sweet potato without anything on it. So good. All right, so this one has a little place on it. We'll cut that off. In this recipe that I'm making for you, I found a recipe very similar to this, and we didn't preferably like it when we first tried it. It was good, but it just didn't have the flavor that we really wanted it to have. So we've tweaked it a little bit at Juicy's, and it's become a local favorite. So we're very proud of our tweaking. All right, so I'm going to throw these in the pot here. Off. I always make a mess. All right, the next thing you're going to do is take your frozen corn, and this is about a 12-ounce package. You're just going to put this in your mixture. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and add the entire mixture. You're also going to go ahead and add your coconut milk. So what I have right here is about 2 cans of coconut milk, just a regular size can, about a 10-ounce can, so 2 of those. You're just going to go ahead and pour that into your mixture. I don't know if you can see this, but it is so pretty. Give that a stir. All right, we're going to go ahead and add our celery. So again, it's about 4 stalks of celery that you're going to add to this. I don't know if you can see that size, but it's kind of small, but you can do it however you prefer it. Doesn't have to be this small at all. And celery cooks pretty quick, so let that be one of the last things that you chop up and put in. Of course, start with your heavier vegetables first, like your carrots and your potatoes. Sometimes I just can't help but go really fast when I chop these. All right, and put this in. This is smelling so good. Kind of wish we had smell-o-vision so you could see what we're smelling here at the studio. It's so, so good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to add is maple syrup. Now this is pure maple syrup. It's not pancake syrup, okay? So there's a difference, a big difference. So make sure this is an organic pure maple syrup. I actually got this at a local store here, and they have it at every single store, and it's usually in the cereal aisle. So I'm gonna pour about a cup or a capful of the syrup. And you don't have to put the maple syrup in if you don't want to. Again, that's one of the things that we tweaked a little bit. Okay, we'll add some Celtic sea salt, just a little bit. Go ahead and put this here. Now I'm adding about a teaspoon of salt, basically is what that adds up to. Give it a stir. So pretty. Smelling good. All right, so then we're going to add our Cajun mix, and this actual seasoning here has no MSG, so make sure you look for something that has no MSG. MSG makes you crave more food about an hour to 2 hours later. So a lot of times when you go eat Chinese food or even Mexican food, sometimes you're hungry just shortly after, even though you've had a huge meal. So sometimes it's the MSG that's in that meal, how it's prepared. So you're just going to make sure your spices do not have MSG, and they will say it. So if you do this particular brand also says no MSG on most of their ingredients and spices. So I'm just going to kind of cover the top with this. I'm also going to use just a little bit of paprika. Just a little. And I'm going to use the paprika also for the topping once it's all finished. All right. And the next thing I'm going to use is a little bit of curry. Sprinkle a little bit of curry, and curry is such a delicious spice, and I never knew. I read some things about it that I never really knew about it, and I wanted to share with you. We'll give this a stir, and we'll talk about curry. So right now it smells really coconutty, buttery right now. So there's no butter in it. There's no oils in this, so your fats are healthy fats. So your body loves healthy fats. Your brain loves healthy fats. All right. So let's talk about some curry. I'm going to show you what, this is going to be the topping. Let me cover this up while we're talking. All right. So for curry, most of the time, when I go buy curry in the store, you know, it's a local store. I didn't realize that curry, if you buy it in different regions of the world, it's made with all types of ingredients like sweet basil, some cumin. I mean, there's so many different spices in this one different spice. So you don't think about curry having all these different spices. And it's so good for like cancer prevention. It's good for diabetes, heart disease. It's good for inflammation, chronic pain. So curry is like a little spice that's good for everything. So if it were up to me, I'd put curry on every single thing I cook. All right, so with that being said, anytime you go to an Indian restaurant, you're going to see a lot of curry on their food. They love curry and turmeric. So those two, and that's also in curry. So turmeric is also something that I use at Juicy's for anyone who comes in and they're complaining of headaches or just not feeling good. Turmeric is super for digestion problems. So that's in the curry. So this soup is just like a feel-good soup, and plus it's delicious. So just keep that in mind when you are making this soup at home, or if you come up to Juicy's and see me, and on a Monday. We only make this on Monday. Okay. So I talked a little bit about coconut milk. And coconut milk, of course, has no lactose in it. It's great for people that have problems with, that are lactose intolerant. And it's also, you're getting all your calcium, more calcium than you would in dairy milk. So a lot of people don't know that, and some people actually question me about that, but it's true. If you do the research on it, you will see that almond milk, coconut milk, cashew milk, there's so many different types of nut milks that are so good for you and better for you than actual dairy milk. All right, for this topping, I also like to use fresh corn. Even though I did put frozen corn in the soup mixture, I like to also do Silver Queen. That's my favorite. So we're going to do some Silver Queen for the topping. And I've already shucked this, and I'm making a mess. But what that means, it's going to be good if I make a mess, right? And you don't have to do this step if you don't want to. So if you just want to get the soup going, let's turn this down. And then just top it with the onions only, that's okay too. Unless you want to make a mess. All right, so I'm going to put my corn in another bowl. Maybe I better not. I'm running out of bowls here. A little wipe here. Whoop, my glasses are fogging up. This soup is smelling so good. I can't wait for you to see the finished product. So pretty. All right, let's stir this up and see how we're doing. And I don't know if you can see this completely, but it is so pretty. Pick up my corn here. Yes, I'm a messy cook. But I usually clean up. All right, so I don't know if you can see this, like I said, but it is so pretty and colorful. So pretty. All right, let's have some soup. I'm gonna ladle out here. And give it a little taste first to make sure it's okay. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Let's look at all that color. Your body needs every color of this soup. All right, so what you're going to do once you get your soup in the bowl, put this down. I usually like to sprinkle the top with a little paprika, and then cover with your fresh corn. and also your green onions. And voila, it's beautiful and it tastes good. So I can't wait for you to try this recipe. It is so delicious. And you can tweak it a little bit, make it your own recipe. So you don't have to go strictly by mine. So just have fun with it. Hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time on Fresh Start.